uh, Welcome back. So in the previous we are discussing about the types of the chips. What are the types of the chips will be formed during the machining process, and how the tool and the workpiece will react during the machining process. So now we're going to say about the what are the characteristics should be there for cutting tool materials when you're selecting any type of cutting tool materials. What are the characteristics it has to be possessed. So then next we're going to say about the what are the types of cutting materials that has been used to manufacture or to use the tools where in order to remove the excess materials. So first we're going to say about the characteristics of a cutting tool materials. So mainly the characteristics of a cutting tool materials, the cutting tool is subjected to high temperatures, high contact stresses and rubbing along the tool and the chip interface along the machine surface. Consequently, the cutting tool material must possess the following characteristics. So when you are selecting any tool for a cutting materials, mainly it has to process or it is subjected to the mainly this it has to process this three characteristics. One is high temperatures. High temperatures is nothing but the tool has to withstand the high temperatures during the machining process. In the some conditions, because of the continuous running or running at an high RPM or the friction between the workpiece and the tool, that causes a high temperatures. So in order that high temperatures, the tool has to withstand the high temperatures which is produced during the machining process. So next one is high contact stresses. High contact stresses is nothing but the more forces will be acting on the workpiece, tool and the workpiece. So in order to withstand or in order to overcome the forces which is acting, cutting forces which is acting on the tool has to withstand the cutting forces. Cutting forces mainly it is created by the because of the high temperature and even the surface contact and even the friction. These are also some of the reasons that may causes the high contact stresses. So high contact means the more cutting forces the tool has to withstand the more cutting forces. So next one is when it is rubbing along with the tool and the chip interface means, so whenever the machining process the chips also will come in between the machining process between the tool and the workpiece. So even when it comes between along with the machined surface also, it should not, the tool should process the good surface finish. It should not give any damage to the already machined surface. So these are the major characteristics the cutting tool has to be obeyed, or when we want to select any type of cutting tool materials. So first we need to see this whether the cutting tool material can able to process these three characteristics: high temperatures, high contact stresses, and rubbing along with the tool and the chip intersurface. So next we're going to see about the, and it must possess the again the what are the following characteristics. So first one is hot hardness. Hot hardness is the ability of a material to retain its hardness at a high temperature. So this is required because of the high temperature environment in which the tool will be operating. See, the hardness means hot hardness because of the high temperature. The hardness are the ability of a material to retain its hardness. It should not lose its hardness at a high temperature. So this is required because of the high temperature environment, in which the tool where we are going to operate. The hard hardness should able to process the material or to regain it has to retain its hardness at an high temperature, and this is because the high temperature where environment in which the tool where we are going to operate. Next one is about the toughness and impact strength. So to avoid the fracture failure, the tool material must possess the toughness. Toughness is nothing but a capacity of a material to absorb energy without failing. Means the tool should not able to get the fracture failure. So that is the reason the toughness means the tool should able to absorb the energy without failing or without failure. So next one is about a wear resistance. So wear resistance is nothing but the hardness is the single most important property need to resist to an abrasive wear. So in all the materials the wear and tear will come into the picture. So the wear resistance is nothing but, so all the cutting tool materials must be hard. However, wear resistance in the metal cutting depends upon or more than the just tool hardness because of the tool and wear mechanism. Means it has to wear the wear resistance. Then the thermal means thermal shock resistance to withstand the rapid temperature, means suddenly increase or decrease in the temperature cyclic. So that also the thermal shock resistance also the tool should be able to withstand. And the chemical stability and inertness. So the chemical stability means with respect to the material being machined to avoid the any chemical reaction or any adverse reaction, adhesion and tool chip diffusion. So that would contribute to the tool wear means. So this all these characters should be able to process during the machining process. Means whenever I'm going to select any tool material, so these are the characters, means it obeys all these characteristics. Then only that is that tool we can able to suitably we can able to select for the machining process. Yes, sir. Next, we're going to say about the types of cutting tool materials. As we know, we have seen the different types of cutting tool materials that has been available in the industries to manufacture or to for any different machining process. So first one is the various cutting tool materials which are been broadly used in the machining of the different materials. So like mainly we're going to use as an high speed steels, carbon steels, carbides, coated tools, cubic boron nitride, diamond, aluminum oxides. So like this we have an different types of tool materials which has been available, and different types of tool materials has been used for the different machining process for the different types of materials. See, for example, if I take high speed steels, all the machining process are for all the different materials I cannot able to go for an high speed steel. For example, if I take a ceramic tool cannot able to use for an any iron materials. So like this, so that depends upon the type of material which I am going to select. Based on the type of tool and type of machining process what we are going to do, based on that we are going to select the types of tool materials. So first we are going to see about the carbon steels. So the carbon steels is one of the oldest tool materials that have been used widely in the earlier stages, where for the to use for the drills, taps, broaches and reaming operations from since early 80s. So then later they have been invented that low alloy and medium alloy steels are also been developed for the similar application, but to improve the more tool life. In the earlier the tool life was very less. Now because we have been implemented the low alloy and the medium alloy steels to develop the similar application with the longer tool life. Next is about the high speed steels. So the high speed steels mainly it is used for an high speed steels, whether when we are using a machines at an higher speeds. So the high speed steels is highly alloyed tool steel, and it is maintaining for an hardness where it can able to withstand the more temperature, and most commonly used tool in the machining process. So it is the mainly the high speed steels are being used at an higher speeds, and it can able to withstand the more temperature, and the most commonly tool used for a machining process. So next one is about the tungsten type. So the tungsten is nothing but a principle of alloying integrant. So additionally we are allowing the elements as in a chromium, where means we are mixing the chromium and an vanadium. So this is one of the original and best known as high speed steel grade. So these are some of the type of tools that has been used in the tungsten. So next we are going to say about the cemented carbides. So carbides is nothing but it is the type of the tool which is manufactured by the powder metallurgy technique. So we're going to mix the type of powders at an high temperature, and we're going to use the blending process, and we're going to manufacture, or we're going to use this type of tools. This is what we call as a cemented carbides. So next we're going to say about a ceramic cutting tool. So ceramic cutting tools are composed primarily, so it is based on the fine grained aluminum oxide. So this again then it is been pressed or sinated. Sinated means is nothing but mixing at an high temperatures with a blender into the, that is what we're going to insert this. So the aluminum oxide is usually very pure, that is what we're going to use this, and we mix with the ceramics with the aluminum. So here also we're going to use the ceramic cutting tools. So the next one what we're going to see is about the cubic boron. So the cubic boron is next to the diamonds. Cubic boron is one of the hardest material now, next to the diamond. As we know that the diamond is very hardest material what we're going to use in the cutting tools. So it is also known as the next to the diamond, and the fabrication to the cutting tool involves basically same as synthetic polycrystal. So here also these are also used as a coated tools. Sometimes we're going to use the coat the materials in order to increase the strength of the tool for the machining. So mainly this cubic boron nitrates is used for the machining like steel and nickel based alloys. So the diamonds is very hardest material what we have been found in the ores. It is the diamonds is the very hardest material. By some of the measures hardness, the diamond is 3 to 4 times harder than the tungsten. The material what we call to use the tungsten carbide, the diamonds are more harder than the tungsten by 3 to 4 times. So since the hardness of the desirable property of the cutting tool, so mainly it is naturally to bring the diamonds for the machining and grinding application. So the diamond tools which is mainly used for an machining and grinding purpose, especially in the stones where you need to make in a grinding, for example